Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Zay and today I'm going to be doing my February wrap up. With another month, I feel like this year is like flying by. We're in March and I am so happy because it is warming up outside. I personally like the cold, but it is nice for it to be a little warmer. Days are getting longer. I'm just so happy about that. But anyway, let's just get into this wrap up. I'm gonna start with a book that I talked about last month because I counted it for last month, but I did finish it the very 1st of February, and that is A House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. And I did talk about it in my last wrap up, so if you want to go see my full thoughts on that. But I have thought more about this, and I think I gave this one 5 stars, but I would probably drop my star, not because I didn't enjoy it, but I just think I went into this one with like super high expectations, and this book went a different way, not in a bad way necessarily, but I don't know, I guess I didn't love it as much as I thought I was going to be, or as I hoped I would. But I still enjoyed this one. Like, it was such a fun reading experience. I think I have more thoughts, but I'm not going to get too far into it because I did kind of really go into it in my last wrap up. But I do think I'm going to drop my star. I gave this one 5 stars. I think I'm dropping it to 4 stars. So there's that. Okay, we're going to move on. And the next book I'm going to talk about is Mickey Chambers Shakes It Up by Cherish Reed. This was one of the earlier books that I read in the month, so I honestly don't remember this one too much. But Mickey Chambers, she's an adjunct professor. She has a chronic illness and she has a summer class that she's teaching, but her medical bills are just stacking up and she really needs like a side hustle, a side job to just help her out a little bit. So she interviews for a bartender position and she becomes a bartender. She has no bartending experience. And we have our hero, Diego. He's the owner of the bartender, and he was married and his wife passed away, and he's just really struggling because he's thinking that he is just not doing his wife's justice. It was their bar, and he's just really, struggling, missing his wife, and also just with taking over the business. And this is Mickey and Chambers. Oh my gosh. This is Mickey and Diego's romance. It was sweet. It was funny. I remember enjoying this one. I just don't remember too much of it. I have read Cherish Reed in the past. This is not my first book by her, but this one did pick up some speed last year. I saw quite a bit of people talking about it on Instagram, so that makes me very happy. But I did enjoy this book. It was sweet. It kind of reminds me of Love Theoretically. If you like that book, then I think that you would kind of like this one as well. And yeah, this one was a winner. I did enjoy this one a lot. Okay, so I want to talk about the only thriller or non-romance book that I read, and that was No One Needs to Know. Who was this by? Lindsay Cameron? Okay, by Lindsay Cameron. So sometimes I just get the sudden urge to just read a little thriller, and I do tend to read more of them in like the spring, definitely thriller in the summer. But this is a domestic suspense thriller, and this is set in New York, and this is like a rich people kind of thriller, which I love. I love rich people drama. I love rich people thrillers. They're just so fun. This is kind of like a twist on the kind of usual like suburban mommy kind of thriller. This is set in New York, kind of gives Gossip Girl vibes and Upper East Side vibes. So I really enjoyed like the setting, and I thought that was just a little bit different. But the premise of this one is about a group of women. So we're following a few different women, and all of their kids go to this school, this very like preppy private school, and a lot of the moms, or a lot of the parents, a lot of the moms are all a part of this website, or I think it's like an app. And it's kind of like Yik Yak. So it's kind of giving Yik Yak vibes if you're familiar with Yik Yak, maybe from high school or something, or even college. So it's this kind of forum where you can go and you can just submit anonymous things, okay? And it's juicy. The things that these people are spilling are juicy, and it could really ruin their reputation. They're admitting to things, and this forum actually gets leaked. So like I said, it's supposed to be anonymous, but everyone can see what they're posting, and there's a murder that takes place, trying to figure out what happens, how that connects to this. And this one was just a fun time. I enjoyed it. It's, you know, just a quick, easy little thriller. And yeah, I enjoyed it enough. So I would recommend it. I think this one would be fun to read if you like rich people thrillers and if you just kind of want something to just kind of reset. You know, I get this way after I read a lot of contemporary romances specifically. I just kind of need a break. And this was perfect for me. So I would recommend this one. So next I read The Great Undoing by, oh, why do I keep doing that? The Great Undoing, Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings. It keeps saying The Great Undoing by Daisy Hates. No. Okay, so this is the second book in the Daisy Hates series, a part of the Magnolia Parks world, or Magnolia Parks universe. So I have been putting this book off. This came out like December 2022, and I've had it since then, but I just didn't want to read it because I knew it would be a while before we get another Magnolia Parks book, and I've been putting it off. But Into the Dark came out last month, so I was like, I need to read it, and I finally did. So if you haven't read Daisy Hates, I highly recommend that you do. I think that you should read Daisy Hates. I know some people don't really like it. If you just can't stand it, then I understand and you can absolutely skip it. But what makes Daisy Hates so good is Julian Hates' POV. So in this book, this is following exactly what happens after Daisy Hates and after, okay, I think this is after Long Way Home. This is happening simultaneously as Long Way Home is happening, but the way it came out was Long Way Home came out before this one. So there are, you know, some spoilers if you haven't read Long Way Home, and if you skip this one, then I do think that you're going to be missing out on some things that I do think are personally important. But if you know anything about the story, then you know something happened between Daisy and Christian, and then also between Daisy and Julian. So like I said, we're just following right after what happened, and I don't want to spoil anything. I will give a little section because I do want to talk about some things, but I enjoyed this one as usual. Julian Hates stole my heart. He really made this book for me, but I really did enjoy Christian and Daisy. They have a lot of character development, and I am really enjoying that. What I will say is that this one felt more distinct than Magnolia Parks. When I read Daisy Hates, I felt like it was very similar to Magnolia Parks and, you know, kind of similar in the romance aspect and the history. Daisy and Magnolia are different characters, but I do feel the storylines and just the way she wrote it, it's all very similar, but this one felt more distinct, and I really did enjoy that. So I gave this one 4 stars, not 5, but I did really enjoy it, and it's a great, solid read in the series. And I have not read Into the Dark yet, but I'm just waiting for the time because I'm feeling some mixed things. I do want to vlog it. I'm going to vlog my experience reading it. So just look out for that. But I'm just waiting for the mood to strike of when I want to exactly read it because it's a monster of a book. I think it's like 700 pages. So anyway, okay, let's get into spoilers just for a minute. Okay, so just a few things. I'm going to try to get through this quickly. Daisy is fine, and they have been dating, and she has, you know, kind of separated herself. She made it very clear she doesn't want to be a part of that world anymore, and she's been living on her own, and she's been dating Tiller for quite a while. And of course, like, her and Tiller are just not gonna be together forever. Like, we know this. So their dynamic was actually very interesting, and I did enjoy it. I feel like they could have actually worked out if she could have fully let go of that life. But their relationship was always like, it was never going to last, and it always had like a time limit for sure. So anyway, when Daisy's life is put in danger, she ends up having to move back in with Julian. So like I said, my favorite parts of this book were Julian, but I'm going to get to Julian in a minute. But I really enjoyed Christian and Daisy. I felt like they had a lot of development in this book. I liked their romance. This ended, wow, like, where are they going? I don't know. This was such a good ending, but so I can't wait for their next book. But I really enjoyed Daisy and Christian a lot in this book. I'm not as obsessed or invested as I am with Magnolia and BJ, but I like that they try to do things very differently in this book. Like when they decided to get together again, they were like, I'm committed to this. Let's try this and let's try to do this differently and let's try to do better. And I really enjoyed that. We love to see the character development. So, very curious as to where Daisy and Julian are going to go, what happens with them, and with Daisy and Christian. But Julian, like I said, best part of this book. Him and Magnolia, it was really cool to see his point of view of Magnolia and his relationship. And because, of course, we get a lot of it from Magnolia's part, POV in Long Way Home. So to know that Julian really fell for her, and the reason why he ended things with her is because her life was being threatened because of her relationship with him. I feel like these two really could have been together again and had this epic, amazing romance if Magnolia would have accepted who he really was, because she was totally in denial and just ignoring everything that he was involved with. But I just really felt for Julian, and just the way that he felt about her. Oh my gosh, beautiful. I really actually love Julian and Magnolia together. Like, I could be okay with her ending up with Julian or BJ. Obviously, I know she ends with BJ, but this one made me a believer in their romance and that they actually had something that was real and honest. So seeing that from his point of view was just beautiful. Like the way he was falling for her, he was obsessed with her. Gosh. But anyway, really enjoyed this one. Solid 4-star read. First one is On the Edge by Kay Bromberg. So I got this one as an ALC. Let me be honest with you guys. If I didn't get this as an ALC, I would have DNF'd it. I don't think I am going to be DNFing ALCs because I just know there's a lot that goes into producing and everything with an audiobook. I know that's a lot for the author. So as I am getting more advanced listener copies, I am going to try my hardest to not DNF them, but I absolutely would have. So this is a F1 romance, and this is following our hero. He just got an opportunity, basically, that will propel his career, and it's everything that he's kind of been working for. He's going to be working with the company, but he has a bad boy image. He has definitely some issues with his image, and they want to fix that immediately. So they come up with a plan. They set it up for him to enter into this fake relationship with the woman who works at this company, so that it will help his image, you know, kind of perfect this bad boy image. And he only has like a month or something to fix this so he can seal the deal on this branding deal. And so that's the setup of the book. So we have bad boy, kind of good girl image, and bad boy, good girl dynamic, enters this fake relationship to fix his image, right? We've seen this play out many times before. I actually really do like this setup and these tropes. I think it's so fun. And, you know, like Flawless, Elsie Sever's one of my favorites. I also really enjoyed Wrecked by Lauren Asher. Kind of has the same kind of vibe of those two books. But those two books worked for me, and this one did not. I did not like this book at all. What did I give this one? Yeah, so first I gave this 3 stars, and I changed my rating to 2. I just didn't enjoy it. It was like a drag getting through this book. I felt like the characters had a very strong sexual connection, which was fine, but I just didn't feel there was any. I felt like their relationship was just so lustful. I didn't feel like it had any layers to it. I don't know. I didn't enjoy this one. And I felt like their relationship was quite superficial. They did get into a little bit of deep things. You know, our hero has a lot going on with his back. You know, he definitely has like some family trauma and stuff like that. But I don't know, the writing style didn't work for me. And I was so annoyed by the constant physical descriptions of each other. It was just gross to me. I just want more from my romances, and this just wasn't for me ultimately. It's also way too long for what it is. It's a pretty just basic setup, a basic story, and it just felt like it kept going on and on and on. This is too long of a book, in my opinion, for just how simple like the book is and the setup is. I've like read this so many times. Yeah, I did enjoy the narration. The audiobook is pretty well done, but the story itself just did not work for me. This is second book in a series. You could totally read it as standalone. That didn't affect my reading at all. Um, it was just a story that I did not like. So I'm sad. This is my first book by Kay Bromberg. I don't know if I'll try something else or not, but On the Edge definitely did not work for me personally. Maybe you all will like it. Okay, so the next book is Where We Started by Ashley Munoz. So this is the first book in her Stone Riders MC series. Second book actually just came out, and I am excited to read this one. So I did really enjoy this one, but I think the audiobook wasn't my favorite, and the hero annoyed the heck out of me sometimes, but I actually did really enjoy this one. So anyway, in this book, we're following Wes and Callie. This is a second chance motorcycle club series. So Callie has grown up in this motorcycle club. Her dad was the president of it, and she loathed live loathed growing up in this environment. And when she got the chance to get out of this club and this environment, she did. And her and Wes were together. They dated, but when she left him also. And so she's been away from the club for a long time. She didn't have a relationship with her dad, and she has just started her own life and started creating her own life far away from the club and her father and her ex and first love, Wes. But when she finds out that her dad died, she comes back to where she grew up, and she's filled with a lot of emotions pretty much immediately. And she sees Wes and she finds out that he is now president of the club. She's very heartbroken about this. The way he even got into the club is all because of her, but you find out when you read it. But anyway, she ends up having to stay there for just a little bit because her dad had a will drawn out, written out for her, and there's some things in the will that make it to where she has to stay and just take care of a few things. So she ends up having to stay there for a while. And some of the things start coming up in the club. There's some things going on in the club. There's some things going on around town. And she ends up having to stay a little bit longer, and she ends up staying with Wes. So there's a lot of angst, there's a lot of tension. Wes is really hurt. He was really hurt by her leaving, and they both have a lot of emotions and just pent up things against each other. They haven't seen each other since she left. So there's a lot going on between them. There's a lot of history, there's a lot of heartbreak, and their romance was very push and pull. Wes kind of annoyed me. He was just kind of over the top a bit, but it was fun to read about. That's why I love angsty romances. So this is not a bad. I did enjoy it, but he did annoy me quite a bit. There's also quite a bit of suspense that I was not expecting, and I really enjoyed that aspect of the story. It was very interesting. I think that if you like the Fallen Men series, I think that you would like this book. And hopefully series, I haven't read the second one. I'm assuming it's going to have the same gritty, suspenseful kind of thing that the first one did. But this one was very surprising. I really enjoyed it. And this one had something that happened at the end that I thought was kind of interesting. I don't know if it worked. Something kind of, I feel like the suspenseful part of the book kind of unraveled at the end. Like maybe there needed to be a little bit more thought out for how this book was going to end and all come together. But I gave this one 4 stars. Really enjoyed this book. I couldn't put it down. I wanted to keep reading it, and I'm invested in the characters. I want to read the second book. Next we have Serpentine Valentine by Gianna Darling. This is a dark academia Medusa retelling and revenge story, and let me just say that this book is the definition of unputdownable. Couldn't put it down, couldn't stop reading it. Gianna Darling's writing always works for me, always sucks me in, and I was immediately invested in the story, and I could not put this down. So in this book, we're following Lex. Lex has just gotten to her dream school, Akron University. She's really excited. She's a great student, and she also knows the president of the university. She has a relationship with her, really respects her, and she recently has gotten close to one of her professors, and she really admires him, looks up to him, but unfortunately one night she's taken advantage of by her professor, and she is sexually assaulted, and she is just treated absolutely horribly by the school. People immediately don't believe her. The professor, calls her a liar, says it didn't happen, and the president of the university does everything she can to try to cover it up. And Lex comes back to school with a vengeance. She is focused on getting revenge. It's all that she's focused on. It's all that she's trying to do. One part of her, so she's creating a plan, and one part of her plan is Luna. Luna is the president's daughter, and she plans on using Luna to get back at the president. But she ends up falling in love with Luna. So Luna is a athlete. She has a boyfriend, you know, she just kind of a regular old student at the university, but her life is turned upside down when Lex becomes interested in her, and she starts to find out things about her mom, about the university, the culture of the university, and a lot of things start unraveling and unfolding. And it's just Lex and Luna's story of falling in love, of healing, healing from trauma, and getting justice. So there's so much to talk about in this with this book. So this book was a really great experience. I've been wanting to read more sapphic romances, particularly indie romances, because indie romances are the ones that are going to have that grit that I love so much. And I want sapphic romances to be epic and emotional and all that good stuff like MF romances get and MM. But this is exactly what Serpentine Valentine gave me, and for that I'm really excited because I feel like this book opened a lot of doors for sapphic romances. I saw so many people excited about sapphic romance, which makes me so happy because I don't think that it gets the love and the excitement as other, like I said, the MM and MF romances get. But upon, you know, me reading this book and having time to really think back, have not enjoyed this as much as I did. So I originally gave this one 4 stars. I don't know if I'm going to drop it to a 4 or 3, but I would absolutely still recommend this book. However, there are a few things about this book. Number one, the romance moves really, really quickly. There's not a lot of tension. There's not a lot of buildup. It kind of happens overnight. It was just fairly quickly. And I think for as epic of a book as this was, I would have expected more along the lines of the romance, of building up to that romance. It all just happened really, really fast. In fact, the book moved really, really fast as well. It was very fast paced. Usually John Darwin's books are much bigger, and I'm usually complaining about how long these romance books are, but I think this one needed to be longer. Just because of everything that she was trying to do here, I do think we needed more. I felt like a lot of the things, the romance, the story, characters, everything was pretty underdeveloped in my opinion. The next thing is there's a lot of plot holes. There's a lot of things that were said and not discussed, or there were things that were not very well thought out. So for example, you know, our Lex knows the president fairly well. It's hard to believe that she didn't know Luna, had never met Luna, stuff like that. So yeah, there's just a few things about this book that after I've had time to really think about it, I don't think I loved it as much as I wanted to, but I would still absolutely recommend this one. And like I said, it was unputdownable. It was well written. I just wanted more. You know, I feel like overall this is a pretty underdeveloped story, but I still really enjoyed this one, and it made me want more sapphic romances. So like I said, for me, it opened the door to wanting more of these epic romances. So for that, I'm really excited. I'm also really happy that Joanna Darling took a chance and did something different. And I want more because I think that she is such a talented writer and author. And I'm just excited for more stories that we're going to get from her. Into some of my favorite books that I read. So I did read If You Give a Single Dad a Nanny. Like I said, I did read a beta read, but I'm not going to review that one just because I did beta read it, so don't get to see I haven't read the final version yet. So I will probably talk about that one next month. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about some of my favorites. Oh, okay, I have one more to talk about, and that is The Partner Plot by Christina Forrest. So this is Christina Forrest's second adult romance. She wrote The Neighbor Favor last year. That was her debut adult romance. So this is her second one. It's the second book in the series. You can read it as a standalone. So this is a second chance romance, marriage of convenience, with a twist. It's a Black romance. This is between two former high school sweethearts. They see each other. They haven't seen each other in a long time, ever since they broke up. A lot has happened between them. Obviously, a lot has changed since they've last seen each other. Anyway, they see each other in Vegas, and they have an interesting night together. And they don't really get married, but they kind of do. You have to read it to understand. And anyway, they go their separate ways after they see each other. But Violet, she's a fashion stylist. And during an interview, she's asked about her ex. Her ex, he actually cheated on her with one of her clients. And she's being asked about that. And she's like, hey, I've moved on. In fact, I'm married to my high school sweetheart. And so when Xavier hears about this, he's like, what the heck? Why did she say that? She didn't think anybody would really see the interview. It's a very small, it was with the, she didn't think anybody would really see the interview, but they grew up in a small town, and Xavier finds out about it. Him and Violet basically decided they're both gonna fake date. It helped act like they're married. It helps both of them out it benefits both of them. So these two get a second chance at love, a second chance at reconnecting and being together. So I really enjoyed this book. This one to me, this one was a pretty decent romance. I really liked the audiobook, that the audiobook was really good, but there was something missing in this story. I can't really put my finger on it as to what exactly was missing in the story. I felt the same way about the neighbor favor. I don't know, there's just something, a very key element that makes me like swoon and obsess over this book. And so it's definitely missing something. But I did really enjoy this one. And yeah, I would recommend it. If you just want like a cute read, easy read, middle of the road kind of book, I would recommend it, absolutely. I love Second Chance, so yeah, and this cover is just so cute. I love all the pink, and I like the marriage of convenience twist that she puts on the marriage of convenience trope. I thought that was very fun and just like a little bit different. So also the hero has glasses, and I'm really into heroes who wear glasses. And there's a caretaking scene that I loved so much. I love caretaking scenes, and I want more of that in romance books. I feel like we were getting a lot of it after The Hating Game, and I want to see more. So this one does have a caretaking scene that I loved so much. But yeah, this one was very enjoyable. The next book I read was Claim Me Forever by A.L. Jackson. This is the third book in her Time River series. This is a small town romantic suspense single dad book. Everything I love, Our hero is a single dad, and he's a police officer, and he sees a woman. He's never seen her before. He knows she's not a resident of their small town. And so they end up, our hero and our hero have this hilarious meet cute moment. This woman, she's just passing by through the town, and she does have a reason as to why she's in the town, but she's not telling anybody. Well, anyway, he ends up setting her up to where she can live in his like guest house that he has, and while she's here for just a little bit. So get another point of view throughout this book, a little twist that A.L. Jackson put on the romantic suspense element in this book that I really enjoyed, and it just made this book more suspenseful and interesting. Our hero, he has a lot of things that he's gone through in his past. He has 3 kids. He's raising them on his own. He has a lot of things that he's working on, and Savannah, our heroine, has lots of secrets that she is trying to work through and trauma that she's trying to work through as well. So Ezra and Savannah connect, and they really start to fall for each other, but Savannah has no intentions on staying in the small town. Ezra is such a sweet cinnamon man. He just wants to protect her, wants to keep her safe. So much things that they have to, kind of deal with and heal from, and there's something that's lurking, that's happening, going on in the background of this story. It's very leering, and it actually connects. I think the romantic suspense element was really well done. I actually think A.L. Jackson gets pretty dark with her romantic suspense elements, but this one was my least favorite in the series, but I did really love the audiobook. Fantastic on audio. This is one of those books that I'm like, it's much better on audio. If I was reading it, I don't think I really would have liked it that much. But here's the thing, A.L. Jackson is a beautiful writer, but sometimes it's a little bit too much. Like, she gets so descriptive with her writing to the point to where it's like, just say what you're trying to say, So we have that. And then also, this book was really long. Yeah, this was a very long book. Like, I was like, I'm thinking I'm halfway through the book, and I was not. So that's another thing. This is definitely my least favorite in the series. So far, the first book is my favorite. I didn't really even love the second book that much, but the audiobooks are just really fantastic. So if you're going to read this one, which I do recommend if you like single dad romances, the three little kids are so cute, I would absolutely recommend listening to this on audio because the audiobooks are just absolutely fantastic. But yeah, I would still recommend this one. Just definitely not a favorite. So I gave this one 4 stars, but this is more like a 3-point rounded to 4. All right, so now we are at the favorites, the top 3 favorites of the month of February. So next book is Tempting Promises by Corinne Michael. So I got this one as an ALC. Again, the audiobook is so good, so excellent. I highly recommend this one. Let me tell you, I ended up loving this book, which was great because I did not really like the previous book in the series, but this one was so good. This is Enemies to Lovers, Rivals to Lovers. Book in I think it's Whitlock Farm. Okay, no. In the Whitlock family series, so we are following the next Whitlock, Rowan and Charlotte. As I said, they are rivals. They are enemies to lovers. They are neighbors, okay? And they are actually vying for the same contract. But not only that, Rowan dated Charlotte's sister back in the day. He broke her sister's heart, and she hates him for it. Now, Charlotte has a lot going on. Charlotte is going through a lot right now. She's in charge of her family's farm, and it's just falling apart. She's really struggling, and this contract would change her life. It would change the farm's, or future, and it would really put her on track. So she's just giving her all into trying to get this contract. And Rowan is so sweet. He's definitely not seen as the man that he truly is. Charlotte sees him as this awful man who treated her sister horribly, but that is not the case. And he also, trying to do the right thing with his family and their farm. Anyway, these two actually end up going on a friend trip to like the woods, and they get stranded in a cabin together, and things happen in that cabin. They kind of turn into frenemies to benefits, and which I love. I love when they're enemies. I love when they're enemies with benefits. It's top tier and fun. But these two start falling for each other, and Charlotte feels she's really struggling with this. Obviously, they're competing against each other. That's a lot on their situation, but also because of her sister and everything like that. So she's really struggling with this man that she thinks that Rowan is, and the man that Rowan truly is. This was just so fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I had so much fun. I just thought their chemistry was so great. I really enjoyed this one. This one is definitely one of Corinne Michael's lighter books. This is definitely her lightest series, which is really fun to see her do something a little bit different and lighthearted. So I enjoyed this one. I would absolutely recommend it. You don't have to read the other books in the series. I do love the Whitlock family. The Whitlock men are extremely dreamy, and I do love them. What can I say? Read was Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. I got this one as an ALC from Penguin Random House Audio, and this one comes out March 5th, so very, very soon. When I put this video out, this will most likely already be out, I think. Yeah, when this video comes up, this book has just came out. This is the second book in the Rebel Blue Blanche. I keep calling it Blanche. Rebel Blue Ranch series. Done and Dusted came out last year, and this was Lila Sage's debut book, and then it got picked up by Berkeley, and now the second book just came out. Well, it's coming out very soon. And this book is following Wes and Ada. Ada is an interior designer, and her career, she's really struggling with her career. It's just not going very well. She's actually just went through a divorce from a short-term marriage, and she gets an opportunity to renovate property. She goes to a bar, and she ends up having a hot moment with a cowboy, and this just so happens to be her boss. He owns a property that she's going to be renovating on River Blue Ranch property. So very complicated, and these two have amazing chemistry, and she's trying to stay away from him, but she just can't, and he doesn't want her to. I love this book. Okay, I really enjoyed Done and Dusted, but I like this one even more. I don't know, this one was just so charming, and it was emotional and vulnerable and honest. I loved all of the moments with Wes and Ada. This book starts out with them having a very like sexual and intense kind of moment, but it really turns into something really beautiful. They have a very strong connection. We just get so much vulnerability between the two of them, and I really loved it. We have representation, mental health representation of this book, as Wes has battled with depression, and he talks about this very honestly and openly with Ada. And I love a man who's in tune with his feelings, and he honestly wants Ada, and he makes it very clear. It's pretty much all up to Ada, and she's just struggling because she had her last marriage was not a great experience. Her ex was not a good man, and he definitely tore her down. And she really struggles with her confidence and how she feels about herself. And Wes, he just builds her up every chance he gets. And I just love these two. They were so sweet, warmed my heart, and it was great. At least we have Bride by Ali Hazelwood. 5 stars, my 5-star read of the month, my only true 5-star read of the month, and one of my favorite books that I've read so far this year. Y'all, when I tell you guys I love this book so much, I want to reread it. I can't believe I don't own it yet. I need to buy it. But boy, did I love this book. When I tell you guys that this book surprised the heck out of me, let me tell you, Ali Hazelwood wrote a paranormal romance and she made it into her own. This felt very kind of like old school paranormal, but modern, and she put her own Ali Hazelwood flair in there. She made it funny, and it had a lot of Ali Hazelwood elements that I really love. So if you love Ali Hazelwood, I do think that you'll like this one. But if you don't, and you haven't enjoyed Ali Hazelwood in the past, I do think that you would enjoy this book because it works so well. So it's a toss-up, but I just absolutely love this one. Absolutely amazing. Can't recommend it enough. It is such a good audiobook. Anyways, in this book, we're following Misery. Misery is a vampire, has been living with the humans for quite a while. It's where she feels accepted and like more herself. She just doesn't really feel very accepted with the vampires because of her past with the vampires. But anyway, she's living in peace with the vampires, with the humans, but she gets an opportunity by her father to get into an arranged marriage with one of the werewolves. And the vampires want to make sure that they are going to keep their species intact and keep them strong. So they think this alliance will help. Misery does not want to do this, and she doesn't have to, but there's a reason why she does decide and accepts this. You'll have to read to find out why that is exactly. And when she marries into the werewolf, she figures out that things are not really as they seem. The werewolves has a new alpha. His name is Lo, and these two have an amazing connection, and there's just something really special that's going on between Misery and Lo that these two cannot really figure out. This is a forbidden romance because werewolves and vampires do not like each other. They do not go with each other. They're complete opposites, but these two are just very drawn to each other, and their chemistry is just insane. And there's so much going on in this story. There's a mystery element going on in the story. There's something that connects these two. Lo has a younger sister, and Misery starts to really bond with his sister. She doesn't even like kids, but she really bonds with his sister. And gosh, this book was just so sweet and fun. And I think that Ali Hazelwood really knows what she's good at, and she really used that to her benefit in this book. Her writing, what she's good at, really just showed in this book so much. And it's what made this book so fun and ultimately unique. And it just made me miss paranormal romances. Like I said, it just gave all the old school paranormal vibes, but very modern. And I like what she did here. It's kind of got this urban fantasy kind of feel to it, if you will, just because we're living amongst the humans. but I love this one. I also think the mystery plot was done very well. I was intrigued the entire time, and I loved everything about this story. And there's just so much to love. There's a found family aspect in this one. As I said, Misery does not feel very accepted by the vampires because of her history with them, but she feels accepted into with these wolves, and I loved it. I love this story. I love Low. I love Low and I love Misery, and I just loved everything about this book. It was so fun, and I don't even have the words to explain just how much I love this book. I am so excited. Shout out to Allie Hazelwood for bringing Paranormal Romances back, and I hope we see more of this in 2024. All right, I had a pretty good reading month. I'm happy with the books I read. I'm so happy that I have like a new favorite of the year so far, and I'm just excited to see what March brings. So let me know what your favorite book was. Leave me the wolf emoji because Barb is my favorite book. So leave me the wolf emoji. Tell me what your favorite books you read, or not favorite books, whatever. Let's just chat about your February reads and how that went for you. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.